welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, May 11th, 2021. I am Rochelle Baptiste with the details. A heated exchange in Parliament today led to the suspension of opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday from the rest of the day's proceedings. The other members on the opposition bench fully supported their leader and joined him to leave the Parliament session when he was asked to do so earlier than expected. The development comes after the opposition leader asked the Speaker of the House, Rochelle Forde, in pursuant to her general powers on Standing Order 81, in which she controlled the proceedings of the House, for her indulgence to address a matter involving Government Senator and Deputy Speaker Ashel Morgan, along with the Assistant DPP and a third person, in which an investigation is ongoing in relation to a shooting incident in Diamond, where a 67-year-old man was shot in his leg over 3 weeks ago. To date, no one has been arrested and charged in relation to the incident. The opposition leader is of the view that the senator should step aside until the investigation is completed, and he made his position known in Parliament today.
Looking at my notes and my standing orders, that you may be going down a road that offends the rules of the House. As you started, there is an ongoing investigation.
That's correct.
And that is of public knowledge. We can all agree on that. It is the general procedure that the investigations in all matters are allowed to conclude.
Correct.
Before anything else.
And we're not in any way, Madam Speaker,
yes,
interfering with that. I'm not commenting on the investigation in any substantive way.
Yes.
It is also a general principle, Madam Speaker, in matters involving public interest and public figures, that when you have allegations of the gravity that we have heard with respect that the Commissioner of Police has indicated are on the investigation involving the Senator, that in those circumstances, the person involved, in this case the Senator, withdraws from the public role or is made to withdraw until the investigation is complete.
No,
that is what we on this side of the House expect.
Oh, that is different.
And that is what we are asking you as the person who is in charge of the conduct of the business in this House and is charged with the responsibility of maintaining the appearance of decorum and dignity in the House, and at the same time, Madam Speaker, to permit, when matters arise, for them to be dealt with in an expeditious way. This is the first instance that we've had an opportunity to address the matter, and we do not agree and will not agree that the Senator should take her place in this House
Honorable Member,
and conduct the business as though
Honorable Member, I've heard you sufficiently.
It is
Honorable
a
Member,
matter of the normal practice.
The Speaker of the House told the opposition leader that although she has a wide discretion using Standing Order 41 in conjunction with Standing Order 81, that discretion is exercised in instances where the rules are silent.
If I turn your attention to Standing Orders 20 and Standing Orders 36-8, they deal with matters, it appears, because I'm still not sure why you're rising, but they deal with a particular type of matter that must follow a particular procedure that I cannot usurp when the rules are clear. So I have heard your request. I cannot accede to your request. I will not accede to your request. And I ask, therefore, that we continue with the questions.
Madam Speaker, with all due respect, there is no better place for this interjection than at the first instance that the senator makes an appearance in this honorable house.
Honorable member, I have heard your interjection and you seem very familiar with my powers. And you would also recognize that pursuant to Standing Order 41, that when I make an order, it shall not be open to appeal. And 81 says that my decisions on these matters are not open to challenge. I've heard you sufficiently.
And what is your decision, Madam Speaker?
My decision, as stated before, is I will not accede to your request. And in any event, it is
But you
not
haven't heard
proper.
my request.
I've heard your request. I've heard your request. And in any event, I am saying to you.
Pray tell me, what is that request, Madam Speaker?
You are asking that the Honorable Senator withdraws or is forced to withdraw, or is made to withdraw at this time. And that was the substance of your request, as I have understood it. And I'm saying to you that the way in which you're attempting to do it is not permitted under the standing orders. And that is how I've so ruled.
So what is the way that it ought to be done? Because, Madam Speaker,
I suggest that you spend some quality time with your standing orders.
I know the standing orders, Madam Speaker.
And do the research accordingly.
I am very aware of the standing orders.
Having made my decision.
This is not a matter for technical deviation and dancing on the heads of pins, Madam Speaker.
No such.
This is a matter of grave public importance.
The Speaker reiterated to the Leader of the Opposition that she has already made her decision on the matter not to accede to his request, and asked that he take his seat so that they could move on with other matters. And this did not go down well for the Opposition Leader.
Honorable Member, I am on my feet.
House.
Honorable Member, I am on my feet. Please have your seat. Let me make myself clear. I've made a ruling and a decision on this matter. There may be matters that we all get passionate about from time to time. Every time somebody stands on a position, I'm quite sure it is for you want to advocate and have your position be the ruling of the House. It cannot be, and I say this generally for all members sitting here, that after a decision has been made, that some form of trying to interfere with and disturb the proper proceedings of the House will be embarked upon by that level of conduct. My decision has been made, and we will continue accordingly with the question sessions. That is my decision.
Madam Speaker,
Honorable Member, why are you standing?
I am standing because the principle of the appearance of fairness, of maintaining the integrity of this honorable House.
Honorable Member, you have made that point repeatedly.
Madam Speaker, this is not a matter just to simply say we go on because I am passionate about something.
Honorable Member.
That is the meaning.
Honorable Member.
The importance of this matter.
Yeah, Honorable Member. Honorable Member, I've made my decision. We are moving on.
Well, with all due respect, Madam Speaker, I cannot accept that decision because
I understand you cannot accept it, but unfortunately that is the decision. That is the decision of the House.
The Speaker reminded the Opposition Leader and all those in Parliament that she is guided by the rules and procedures. However, the Opposition Leader responded, while he accepted this, the Speaker should also abide by what he said is just and decency in a free and democratic society.
Member, right? you are
that is what I am insisting upon in this honorable House.
Honorable Member,
and the fact that you don't wish to hear it doesn't in any way diminish
Honorable Member,
the importance of what we are raising in this honorable House
on my feet
here today.
Please take your seat.
Well, we will place
I am very, 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 very loath to have to engage Standing Order 43. I'm so happy for that support, if that is what it is. But the point of the matter is, we are going to, I also take that. The point of question number 10.
Madam Speaker, with all due respect, I cannot concede. I have thought it over sitting and I cannot concede. This is a matter that is too important for us to simply brush it aside as the rules and Erskine May people out there know that this is wrong.
Honorable,
They know it smells so high heaven.
Honorable member.
So don't quote me some rule
Honorable
and
member,
some interpretation that is
Honorable member,
and suits the purpose of maintaining
Honorable member,
a situation that is not in keeping with the dignity of this honorable house.
Honorable member, I'm going to officially issue the warning because you are towing the line of conduct that is grossly disorderly, and there are attendant consequences there too. When I stand here to sit, may I remind you, honorable member. When I stand here to sit, thank you.
Well, I will stand again, Madam Speaker.
Well, I am speaking.
I'm not going to concede on this point because
honorable member,
this represents, Madam Speaker, gross disrespect for the House.
I am standing. Honorable member.
Well, we'll please cease up.
Honorable member, I have no choice but to ask, given that your conduct is grossly disorderly, to ask that you withdraw immediately from the House for the remainder of the day's sitting.
After almost an hour break, Parliament resumed with Opposition MP for Central Kingstown, Sinclair Leacock, making appeal for the Speaker to revert her decision to suspend the opposition leader, noting that he should be listened to in the context of the rules.
Section 81, 1, 2, and 3 makes provisions of how you proceed. But it gives you broad and sweeping powers beyond the House rules. Beyond the House rules, and say for where there are no rules, you can adjudicate.
Yes.
In essence, it appeals to your good decency and common sense. This is not the best result we can obtain, you know. Far from. This is not Myanmar. 101 black squad, green squad, or even the Commissioner of Police inserting himself in the ground floor. It's unhelpful. It's unhelpful. We can't eat clean food in dirty wares or drink clean water in dirty glasses. And if our business in this House is not in order, how do we proceed? I'm appealing to you, Madam Speaker. I'm appealing to you. Because the choice is whether we surrender Dr. Friday, as you have a judge to have breached the rules of this House, or whether you, in your extra judgment given to you by the people of St. Vincent and Grenadines, because you too have been properly imposed, decide in your own deliberate judgment that it is not worth the seating of the Honorable Senator in this House at this time at the expense of the leader of the opposition, because that's what it's going to boil down to. We have on our hand a pandemic. We have COVID. And we are going to now disrupt the political framework and uglify ourselves in front of the world. Uglify. You could
Honorable
talk.
members, just a minute.
I have a right to speak here, you know. I can speak here. The people of Central Kingston put me to speak here, and I'll speak. I will speak.
Honorable
unless
members.
the speaker puts me out otherwise.
Honorable members.
You all have this one manhandling people.
Honorable member for Central Kingston, I'm on my feet. Honorable members, I am on my feet.
The Speaker of the House stood her position and says matters of the House will be conducted with the decorum as required of and contemplated by the rules and the expectation of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Listened keenly to the words that you expressed, including the fact that our parliamentary procedure that would have happened here today is now, as you beautifully put it, almost by way of a irony and ugliness. It is indeed a very much an ugliness that happened there. I agree with you on that point. The other ugliness that we must avoid, effective now, is an ugliness which seeks to disregard the ruling of the Speaker of the House as the person who controls this House. You've indicated that perhaps I can ask for an apology. I will not ask for an apology. Apologies must not come by way of solicitation. So I will not ask for an apology. It is not necessary for me to ask for an apology. However, What today demonstrated for me is the importance of understanding the rules, as I've said from day one. The standing orders, to use your word, that overarching power that the Speaker has, is to be engaged when the rules are otherwise silent. Okay? It is not a situation for the Speaker to disregard what are the rules of the House. Because although the Speaker is she administrates over the proceedings of the House, she too is guided by those said rules. And I trust that that has sufficiently answered your question.
Outside Parliament today, a number of concerned citizens were on the picket line calling for the removal of the Senator and Deputy Speaker, Ashel Morgan. Though an investigation is ongoing, the protesters are of the view that good sense should prevail in dealing with the matter.
You can bring a charge against her and let the court decide whether or not she is guilty. But to be in the House with such an accusation, it shows that St. Vincent and the Grenadines is not governed by laws, but they're governed by men.
I remember we went for NDP, he had a gun in his pocket. He should raise up and expose, they lock him up and take a gun. And this one, the youth are going to shoot somebody and leave them there.
It makes no sense she remains as a senator. You see, education is not common sense. And common sense is not education. And when many of us have a little job, it's swallow our head. I am asking her kindly not to give the Prime Minister no trouble. Just step down for me, please, and let St. Vincent be at peace.
Some of the protesters made it clear that their position on the matter has nothing to do with politics.
It's time for us to reclaim St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This is not any party color. This is Vincentian. We are all Vincentian.
And if by chance the shoe was on the other foot and NDP were to go in government and they promise they are going to do certain things to rewrite the wrong that this government do, and they didn't do it, I will be out here against NDP the same way.
Stand for justice. Too much is happening and a lot is being swept under the carpet. People need to stand up for each other.
It seems to me that the poor is only important during election, and after that they are discarded. And the only people who become very important after that are the people who are connected.
It could happen to any one of us. So I had to do. I had my 2 grandchildren, and I want a better settlement for them. It's not about politics. It's about the right thing.
The protesters did not take too well with the news that the opposition leader was suspended from the rest of the day's proceedings of Parliament. A truckload of police officers immediately arrived on the scene to quell the situation. At one point, there was a verbal clash with Commissioner of Police Colin John and opposition Senator Israel Bruce as the Parliament gate was being chained up. Lawyer Bacchus-Baptiste, who is a former senator for the opposition New Democratic Party, is representing Cornelius John, the man who made the allegations against the senator and assistant DPP for their alleged involvement in the shooting incident. Bacchus said after 3 weeks and counting, she has not heard anything further on the matter.
Actually, I'm at a loss right now because I have written the Commissioner of Police, copied the letter to the Prime Minister and the DPP. I have not yet had an answer. I believe they've had enough time to at least acknowledge the letter, not a single word. So I am going to have to consult with my client as to what is the next step forward, because we are not going to allow it to just die a death like that. I mean, it's been almost 4 weeks now, and there has been no arrest, no detention, nothing. At first they said that they wanted to interview my client for a caution statement, but that seemed to have died, especially since Kenton's release that the wife said she was not there and there was no altercation with him and her that day. I do not know what line they're going to follow now.
Just after they came out of Parliament, Opposition Leader Dr. Godwin Friday and Member of Parliament for Central Kingstown, Sinclair Leacock, spoke with reporters on their position on the matter.
I was standing on duty, I was standing in principle. You know me. If anything, people say that Friday is too mild-mannered. When I stand for something like this, it is because I believe it has gone beyond the pale. And I couldn't sit and do the business of the house in the normal course and pretend that everything is normal. You know, you could stay and dine at a feast on a ship that you know is sinking and then be sitting there comfortable. You have to take precaution. Senator, I am out of the house now on account of what the Speaker did. This is something that decent people, you wouldn't put it to the test of the rules of the House. You would simply say, under the circumstances, don't come to the Parliament.
The fundamental issue is that the House is under the jurisdiction of the Speaker. And where there are no rules, she is empowered to exercise her best judgment. She, like all Vincent, are seized of the fact that something happened that made the sitting of the House today not to be sitting on all fours. What is that? A member of the House has been accused of criminal conduct.
Meanwhile, the opposition leader made it clear that they support the supplementary budget estimates of $170 million to assist with the rehabilitation and reconstruction work in SVG after the explosive eruption of La Soufrière volcano. This is one of the main items to be debated in Parliament today.
Well, there needs to be compensation for people who lost their animals and their property. What they're talking about is giving you implements so that you could start over. But what about if you had 10 sheep and you lose them? You know, that's a big loss for you. Okay, there are other things that can be done as well. The payments that are being made, you know, those are temporary and very small. This is something that we're going to be doing for a long time. But the point of the matter is that was something we were prepared here to debate. And the fact that they were prepared to take this right up to the limit tells you that they don't want to have a debate on this.
In other news, a special sitting of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court was held today as a tribute to the late Queen's Counsel, Parnell Campbell. A number of glowing tributes were given by his colleagues and friends in the legal fraternity. Prime Minister Dr. Gonsalves attended the sitting and in his tribute described the late P.R. Campbell QC as a friend who was an excellent lawyer, a Christian gentleman who was very generous. Dr. Gonsalves said that he had known Campbell since they were students of the St. Vincent Grammar School, though Campbell was a few classes above him. The Prime Minister said Campbell has left a great legacy behind, and St. Vincent and Grenadines is grateful for having him for over 75 years.
Immensely our nation and our Caribbean civilization and our human family. St. Vincent and the Grenadines has lost a treasure in Parnell. His passing is an inestimable loss, made more grievous on account of our current perils of COVID-19, the volcanic eruptions and the looming hurricane season. We shall miss his counsel in the days and months ahead. We are grateful for his magnificent contributions as a servant of the people to nation building. And above all, we thank Almighty God for gifting him to us for over 75 years.
Joma Thomas and K. Bacchus-Baptiste from the Outer Bar, Queen's Counsel Stanley John from the Inner Bar, and President of the SVG Bar Association, Rennie Baptiste, shared the most memorable memory of the late P.R. Campbell QC.
of Parnell Randolph Campbell has left a gaping hole in the Vincentian society, and more particularly so at our inner bar.
Indelible, exceptional confidence, dependable, meticulous, thorough. These are just a few words to describe the impactful life of Parnell Randolph Campbell. Our relationship spanned different phases, beginning with student-teacher, student-student, student-tutor, political colleagues, legal colleagues, and of course, a friend.
So, on weekends, when we were not in Cambridge, we were in London. We completed the bar finals just about the same time. I think I may have done so 1 or 2 terms before he did, because he was focusing on the PhD. And our association and relationship and fraternal bonds were forged as a result of the experiences we shared in those formative periods.
Campbell was such a consummate professional. He was such an amazing technician of the law. And particularly because I detected him as a technician of the law. And an area in which I am so weak, even to this time, after so many years in the law. I am saddened that I did not get the chance to work with him.
Other members from the Inner and Outer Bar also paid tribute to the late P.R. Campbell QC and expressed condolences to his family.
Randolph Campbell lives on, bearing in mind his remarkable achievements as a student in the faculty, and thereafter as a lecturer in the said faculty.
The learned Parnell Campbell, one of Her Majesty's council, was an honest and a decent man. He exemplified and practiced a keen sense of justice.
Because his legacy outlasts his mortal body, generations well after me, well after us, will know this name.
I encountered Mr. Campbell in a professional setting. During our years at Hewarding Law School, Mandela and I, along with other Vincentians attending law school in the year 2009 to 2011, worked together to complete all group assignments. During this time, he provided us with critical feedback on our work and commended us when we did an excellent job.
Excellent command of the English language and was a master in the use of words, insisting always upon precision of language and particularly so in the art of opinion writing. His opinions are models of clarity and eloquent simplicity. Not even a comma was allowed to be out of place. He was committed to the rule of law.
Well, I remember after my father would have passed, Mr. Campbell became somewhat of my de facto father. He would call me just because he wanted to know how I was doing and how we were doing. And I would call him just because as well.
Lead scientist monitoring La Soufrière volcano and gas specialist Dr. Thomas Christopher said the amount of gas being emitted from the volcano varies. Speaking on NBC Radio today, this morning, Dr. Thomas Christopher said from recent tests done on Sunday, May 7th, there were only 200 tons of gas emitted per day, which is 800 tons less than the week before.
Before, which was the Sunday before, it was around 1,000 tons per day. And we need to try and figure out what's causing it to move around like that. Because when we measure gas or any sort of gas, we're making a number of assumptions. We are assuming that what we're measuring is everything that's coming from the source, or is coming from the source totally. It's being modulated by the source.
Right.
I mean, that may not be the case. We could, as I said, if there is a dome up there, which we don't know, it could be like affecting how easy the gas can come out. And basically it would affect what we see. We're also assuming that everything we're measuring is everything that's coming out of the top, which may not be the case as well. So there are a number of things that we need to constrain first before we can say anything without any, well, or anything with much confidence about what the gas actually means.
And Dr. Christopher said that the volcano is currently not in a dangerous state, though it continues to release gas.
Mean that we will get more explosions or more violent activity. Basically, we're in a position where it might be stopping, but we can't say for certain that it's stopping because we haven't seen that sort of signal yet to say that it stopped. So it could be on the way to stopping, or it could be just resting. We still have to wait and see. But right now, the volcano is not in a dangerous state. Even though it's pumping up gas, it just tells us that it's still alive. It doesn't tell me that it's trying to create problems like it was trying to do in March, or like it did, in April, when it started with the explosions. So the high gas flux is no need for alarm. It's just a caution that we may not be out of the woods yet.
The gas specialist further noted that though the gas being released has been decreasing, this does not determine what the volcano can do next.
Well, this volcano, let's afraid, does not behave, or will not behave like the one in Montserrat. I think this will erupt, and then when it's done erupting, it will stop. So eventually we would expect the sulfur dioxide to fall away to more or less nothing, as you say. And probably we won't be able to measure anything after a while because it would stop producing sulfur dioxide. So when it gets to that, that will be one of the signals that would tell us, okay, it's probably stopped. But we can't rely on just sulfur dioxide alone or gases alone. We have to rely on deformation as well, and probably seismics. So you don't rely on one technique to diagnose what this volcano is doing, especially in situations like this. So it depends on what's happening at the volcano. Certain techniques are more useful than others, and it would affect how you interpret what we've seen.
Dr. Christopher also noted that there is nothing to worry about the new vent that was created. He said the vent has reconfigured the upper part of the crater, which will lead to a crater lake at La Soufrière. And in Parliament today, Prime Minister Dr. Gonsalves said that the early deficiencies that were observed in some shelters days after evacuees had arrived, including lack of bedding, bathroom facilities, and alternate water supplies, were mainly due to suppliers who failed to fulfill their commitments in a timely manner. The Prime Minister was at the time responding to a question from Leader of the Opposition, Dr. Godwin Forde, who asked about the plans the government put in place to evacuate and house people from the danger zones, and why some necessary items were not available in some shelters for many days after they received the evacuated persons.
The budget was prepared in coordination also with SEDEMA, and SEDEMA was authorized to also mobilize external resources from development agencies for humanitarian period, and allocated some $4 million to procure the emergency items to support persons who would have to be evacuated, and these included cots, mattresses, water tanks, sheets, and so forth. Unfortunately, in some cases, the procurement process having been done and contracts were signed, some providers didn't provide on a timely basis, so that in the first couple of days you had some hiccups.
The Prime Minister noted, however, that all shortcomings were short-lived despite the late furnishing of some supplies. Additionally, he said the extensive preparations were conducted by the government and its agencies in anticipation of an explosive eruption of La Soufrière, including the development of a national volcano emergency plan, which was tested in 2019 during the annual Trade Winds activities.
The Soufrière Monitoring Network was strengthened, planning exercise involving a number of regional agencies, including SEDEMA. A transportation plan was put in place because there are several subcommittees and there's a transportation subcommittee that was put in place. One also involving the Coast Guard. There was preparation of emergency shelters and shelter management training, community engagement through the district communities. There was a communication strategy which was put in place.